I think probably one of the worst things there is, other than dying, is dying alone.
There's always a sense of feeling good about yourself. You feel as if you've served a
Saturday,
purpose, made a
9:36
difference, and that should
p.m.
outweigh any feelings for needing
Hey, it's
reward
Mary
or
calling. I
recognition.
went to the hospital today to see what was up with Dad. I got there about the same time that he did, and basically it was a lot of waiting around for an actual doctor to appear. That took many hours, and I left when they got him hooked up to some morphine, which is really all that he wanted the whole time. But the story is that there's some kind of obstruction, and they're not sure what it is. They don't think it's a tumor. They don't think surgery is immediately required. They've got to study his CAT scans more. And they've done their poking and their x-raying and their fingers and things. I think they have all the information they need. They just need to think about it. So I left Dad around, and yeah, that's what I know. I think Mom's going up there tomorrow, perhaps tonight. I don't know. That's the information as I know it. So give me a call if you feel like it. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
I'm 8 or 9 years old, and it's Christmas at my grandparents' house. There's family all around, my folks, my cousins, my brothers and sisters, my aunts and uncles, lots of noise, smell of food, Christmas songs in many different languages, and we're all waiting for Santa Claus to come to bring us our special presents. I feel safe and I feel happy.
My happiest memory. It's hard to think of the happiest one, but I think first would have to be the birth of my son, who was my firstborn. There's nothing to compare to that. That was unbelievable. That was an awakening for me.
That'd probably be my daughter being born.
And I held her and saw the light in her eyes. And I thought, nothing can be as divine as that.
I mean, could say a miracle. I mean, just birth itself. I mean, life. What can make you happier now? It's incredible. It was a miracle.
My wife, her hip, it was hurt. So the doctor brought me up close and was letting me massage her hip while he was being born. So that puts you right there while he's being born. And I remember the nurse looked over me and she goes, "Son, are you going to be all right?" I said, "Yeah, I think so."
Growing up, the first time you get to take your shoes off and run outside barefoot in spring was, I thought, pretty great. Swimming in the river, jumping out of the tree into the river.
My fondest memories are the times that I got to spend with my brother and playing on Grandma's farm. You know, they had animals, they had horses, and they had plenty of wide open space to pique a kid's imagination, you know.
My happiest memory is the time that I caught my first fish. And I caught it on this pole that my dad had made me. And I went out to this creek. The creek was not more than 3 feet deep. I go over to this dark pool and just dropped it in. I felt it tug. I pulled it up, and it was a trout in this little creek that I had caught. Never caught a fish before.
Throughout my life, I'd go back there and I'd try to recapture that as often as I could. It's just like any other positive experience. You can't never really get it back the way that you'd like to get it back because of the things that obviously changed.
I'd say the happiest memory that I've gotten, which might sound a little profound to you, is when my father left. Because my mother didn't have to suffer any more of his physical abuse. It set her free. And I really enjoyed seeing her being happy. And she wasn't happy with him around, as strange as that sounds. But I didn't have a father until I was 12 years old. After that, he didn't exist.
Well, I have no happy memories with adults. The only time I ever felt any happiness was when I ran away. When I left, I was reborn.
When I returned home to my natural family after being legally kidnapped and placed in foster care at the age of 10, they was glad to see me and they welcomed me back home. So everyone was happy, myself included.
If you really want to talk about me being happy and content, is when I met Beth Ann 2.5 years ago. Up until I met her, I had a wall around me, and I kept it there up until I met Beth Ann. She knows all about it. In fact, she knows more about me than people who's known me all my life.
When I was 12 years old, I had a girlfriend named Lynn Hochel. My life has never been better than when she and I were together. I've had lots of girlfriends since then, but I don't think there's a day that goes by when I don't remember Lynn. That makes me happy, but it also breaks my heart.
I'm from Austin, Texas. I was growing up in this very white, separated society, and I have to say I was a pretty unknowing child.
I was born in St. Albans Naval Hospital in Queens, and then we moved to Brooklyn, and I lived there till I was about 5. And then we moved back to Long Island to Nassau County, and I lived right near the Belmont Racetrack. And that's where I grew up. I went to high school there, and I graduated in 1969.
I'm from Buffalo and Boston and the Bronx and Estonia.
Well, I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. Everything was all right for us, you know.
I came from a little town called Commerce down in southeast Missouri, which basically really just sat on the bank of the Mississippi. It's still home.
I'm from a small rural area in the state of Kentucky by the name of Sturgis, Kentucky. Real small, somewhere around population 2,600. It's a good, quiet neighborhood. It gives more of a tranquility feeling as far as being free.
Well, I tell people I'm from Greenville, California. It's not where I was born. But I lived there till I was 10. We were black sheep. I got beat up a lot by the other kids. Yeah, I actually get a little nauseated when I go back there. Really, and anxious, driving down the streets.
I'm 71 years old now, and I was living on the street at the age of 7, so I came up on the hard way. I was born and raised in Alaska. I was adopted from a woman named Liz. Turned out to be a very bad experience. She broke my jaw, broke my nose, tore up the whole right-hand side of my face. But at the age of 14, I decided that I needed to make a change there.
I used to have a love-hate relationship with it, but now the love is no longer there. It is a site for memories, but the place of my memories is largely really gone.
"9/11 really hit me really in my gut, because to me it felt like somebody had come into my house when I wasn't there and wreaked havoc and made people suffer in ways that I didn't know people could suffer. And I felt like where I am, there's nothing that I can do to stop it, to help anybody. There's nothing I can do to help anybody who's still suffering. Makes me sick. Makes me sick. I mean, I didn't know these people, but this is my home. I felt like I love these people. It's very hard.
I've come to see is that the greatest things are made up of little things. So the nicest thing I've done is stayed open to compassion for others.
I had a friend I went to school with. She had like 6 or 7 kids on welfare, no money coming in, and I pretty much gave them Christmas. I mean, the looks on the kids' face that morning, you know.
My son's birth, Jesse Jr. I met his mother. We was high school sweethearts. We dated for a while and broke up. And when we was sophomores, we met up again, and she was pregnant by an older guy that wouldn't claim her baby. So I claimed the baby for her and helped raise it. We didn't ever tell nobody. I haven't been in contact with his mother or him in over 20 years. You know, I wonder, what's going on. Does he remember me? Or did his mother ever tell him about me?
I worked on a guy's case, and my brief and argument helped save his life and get him off death row.
But the nicest thing I ever did was not allow my anger to touch outside of me. And I never allowed hate to grow. And even though I knew I had a lot to give for 22 years, I didn't really get a chance to give it.
Yes, I try to stick with things within the last 2 decades, which has been the time period of my incarceration. But there has been things happen prior to my incarceration. Take, for example, during the Lucasville disturbance, there was guys that wanted to take the lives of other individuals because of past disputes or people being labeled as snitch, etc. And the position that I took that these guys should be locked up for their own protections and not to be harmed. So that is something positive, too, that I've done, saving the lives of someone.
I was in Houston, Missouri, and my wife was in there having our second child. I was just kind of walking around the hospital until things took its course. And I wasn't a hospice worker, but this old guy was dying. He was bedridden and didn't have any family or nothing. And walked into a room and there he laid, and I spoke with him on and off for days. I got him up out of bed, got him dressed, took him outside. You could see the change in his expression. And then the one day I just come in and he was gone. They said he passed away. I don't even remember his name, but I do know I brought some comfort to him. Unfortunately, in my life, I've done some things that I can't dispute, and I know by doing what I was doing for him, I hadn't really totally just wasted my life and lived it all in vain.
The nicest thing I can recall doing for somebody else is probably the hospice work I do. There was one young kid who was 23, and he had a bad liver, and he was dying, and I held him up to the phone so he could call his mom and his brother or sister and tell them he loved them, and it made me feel small. It made me feel humble when I realized the death that they were experiencing. I was grateful to be able to help, and I was also grateful for the health that I enjoyed myself and the ability to walk outside, see the sky, and still take in the sights and the sounds that make life good, you know.
I think probably one of the worst things there is other than dying is dying alone. And to sit with somebody, and in my case, I had one guy I sat with for like 6 months. The things that we shared, we laughed together, we cried together, we prayed together, we did all these things together, and he was within days of dying, and he told me that I was the nicest person that he'd ever known, and that just really made me feel good inside to know that, because when you think back over your life, sometimes you think, has my whole life been wrong? But to sit with somebody who knows he's within days of passing away and have him tell me in all sincerity that I've done the nicest things with this guy over the last 6 months that anybody's ever done for him, and he was like a 75-year-old man, that really motivated me. The whole experience taught me so much. It taught me how to appreciate life.
My daughter's been the biggest influence in my life. You know, I owe it to her to be the best person I can be, regardless of any set of circumstances. I feel like as long as I'm the best person I can possibly be, I'll never let her down.
My dad was an American War veteran, and he was a paraplegic from World War II. What he taught us was values, you know, that family is really important, and that loyalty and honesty and commitment to family and the people that you love, that's the most important thing. He used to say, a man is only as good as his word. So when you give your word, you have to be ready to stake your life on it. And I tried to live by that. And I like to think that I was able to live by that.
My mom, she showed us what was really important. Self-confidence, knowing your place in this world, you know, knowing what you are, having morals and character and honor. And then my father, he showed me what it was like to be a man, how to carry yourself as a man, how to be responsible like a man. Although I didn't always listen, I was rebellious as hell, but the lessons were there.
I had teenage for parents. You know, I was kind of raised up pretty fast, but I always had my grandmother to go to, you know, with problems and stuff of that nature. And both of them are very strong, honest. I feel like the only two people in my life that I could ever trust with my whole being.
My grandfather, he tried to instill, you know, responsibility, character, and he did it for the most part because he more or less raised me after my father left. Being around him and living around him like I did, he made me strong. He's a brilliant man. I mean, he didn't have nothing but a second-grade education, but very intelligent. You know, it's just like years ago when I was on the run from the police. He told me, he said, sooner or later, you can run around the forest, but you're going to have to run through it sooner or later. And which he was right. I was glad to just accept the responsibility of my wrong and make it right. And there's no doubt that he was telling me the truth. Regardless of how you might want to define it, wrong is wrong, right's right. And he was right.
My mother seemed to be more in touch with the human condition because she was a nurse. You know, that was her thing, caring for other people. And I seemed to gravitate more to what she had to offer me. So I think that all kind of works together, that the greatest influence in my life, which I would consider to be my mother, ends up being basically the author of the nicest thing I've ever done, because I'm a hospice volunteer. When I was 9, my mom got cancer and she died. So, you know, that was the saddest moment in my life. It was hard to deal with because she was such a great influence in my life, and then it was all about acceptance. I mean, a lot of disappointments and things like that, and it really puts your ambitions to sleep.
Before, I'm an alcoholic and a substance abuser, and I was too wrapped up in my own life and living to really pay attention, and I've been locked up and sobered up. It's been almost 16 years now. I've come to appreciate the important things in life. I come to realize what a positive influence my father had on my life. He's got an incredible work ethic. He never missed a day's work for like over 40 years. I've noticed that I'm doing that myself. I've always worked since I've been locked up. I don't miss a day, no matter what. I'm always on time, even if I got some kind of little sickness, I'll still go to work. And I got some self-satisfaction in doing a job well done. I didn't realize that before on the street because, you know, you've got all these distractions, and I myself had my head up my career, you know, so that didn't help. You know, if I end up even half the man that he's been, then I'll be satisfied.
My lawyer, Sophia Elijah, is a big influence in my life. She's an amazing woman, but I think mostly a whole lot of women. You know, the fact that women survive and women take care of families and women learn how to thrive despite their oppression in this society.
I would have to say that Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, peace be upon him, by far has been the biggest influence in my life for the past 2 decades. Studying the life of Prophet Muhammad, I learned to not only just study, but to try to put that which I study into practice. And I'm a firm believer that knowledge brings about a change of behavior. So inquiring knowledge, it has brought about a great deal of change in my life.
This call is originating from an Ohio correctional institution and may be recorded or monitored.
You learn from other people, and the more you meet people and speak to people, the more you learn about yourself and the world that you live in. So I've learned that life is a give and take situation. It's not always about being correct or people accepting your view, but learning to accept the views of other people as well. So I just learned to accept people's opinion, not saying that I agree with them. They don't have to agree with mine.
Hello?
This is MCI. This call is originating from an Ohio correctional institution and may be recorded or monitored. I have a collect call from an inmate at Ohio State Penitentiary. Dial 0 and hold. Your call is being connected.
This death row, we got 6 pods on death row, so pretty much one-man cells. Gear 5 is like the hole. You know, you get in trouble, you go to the hole. It's been pretty much locked down. We're handcuffed every time we're released out of our cells, handcuffed behind the back. We get out once a day for rec. Our rec area is basically a caged-in area right here in the block. It's got a table, sit-up bench, and a telephone. That's it. The outside rec is concrete blocks. It's got a fence over the top of it, so you can't really see anything but the sky. It's hard. I mean, it's hard on the guys around here. No lie about it. And we're trying to get the state to give us contact visits because we don't have contact visits now. There's been talks about it, and lately they're saying that they will give it to us, but they're trying to figure out how they're going to go about doing it. At one point in time, families and friends could send us clothes boxes and food boxes, but they kept that out there. Pretty much now, they got a different kind of vendors. We have to order through this place to get stuff like that. And you also got a handful of guys that the state is making them pay court costs for the trials that they had. Even though they were indigent going into trial, they're making them pay for that trial now. And I'm one of them, so I know exactly what's going on about that. And my trial, I think it was, $20,000. I've been down 11 years now. All of a sudden, one day they hit me with a bill saying that I've got to pay court costs, court order. Anything over $10 that I get sent to me, they will send to the courts. So basically, I'm tied down to spending $10 a month. You can't buy much anything with $10. You can't buy any clothes boxes or anything because just postage and handling, that's $5. They got my back against the wall because my TV went out about 2 years ago. I can't even buy a TV, so I'm stuck in this box all day and night, no TV, So, like I said, it's hard.
It's like being in the situation I'm in today. Regardless of how people want to try to define prison life, the weak will fall in here. I can guarantee it.
I have a collect call from...
This is Jeffrey Ferguson, and it seems like my memory is going. I've been on death row since like 92, and I got off for about a year, but it's been a long time, and I'm getting weary. I'm really tired of it. Yeah.
I've been in prison nearly 20 years.
I've been locked up since 91. Every other weekend, and all that time, my mother and father has driven way out here from St. Louis, barring illness or, happenstances, to spend Saturdays with me. And we have become the greatest of friends because we try to crack each other up. Life is so rough, and the problem I'm facing is so serious and so unbelievable that often we retreat into laughter as a way to ease our burdens. But it is so funny to see those things. And they're still in love. That cracks me up. The thing that they've showed me is that respect is possible. Love is possible.
I have a collect call from...
Dennis Killicorn. I've been incarcerated for 25 years, and they say that men that come here are the worst of the worst, but there are a lot of circumstances that have brought them here. Everybody has an opportunity to change.
I would venture to say the nicest thing that I've ever done was create a bi-monthly newsletter called Compassion, which displays the humanity of death row prisoners and foster reconciliation between prisoners and immediate family members of murder victims. In conjunction with this publication, I helped formulate a scholarship program that awards academic and religious scholarships to the immediate family members of murder victims. In no way are the scholarships that we award to family members meant to atone for the loss that the families have experienced. Likewise, the scholarships are not to be construed as an admission of guilt for those of us working on this project. Instead, the scholarships are only to be viewed as a compassionate gesture to those whom have had a significant and unfortunate tragedy befall them.
The majority of the men, they have a realization that they may not be able to help themselves, but they still want to be able to make a difference and help other people. We try to do that through compassion. We've contributed $22,000 to scholarships of children who have been victimized by violent crime. Their parents have been murdered. We hope to contribute more. The best programs they have here is restorative justice because it touches so many different areas. We make contributions to charities of different kinds, the Special Olympics, the Cancer Society, Save Coalition, and we contribute to local shelters. We do fundraisers, the different organizations we have, 4-H Life, Hospice. I like to use hospice as an example because when we first started the program about 7 years ago, it was perceived as a weakness. It was not acceptable to help your fellow man, in a place like this. It was more acceptable to mind your own business and do your own time, that kind of thing. And that program has really done a lot to do away with that stereotype because now people perceive it as strength as opposed to weakness. And here at Potosi, we basically mentored the hospice program for the entire state of Missouri. It's kind of like living in an environment that deals with the hospice training. It's like they teach us about a dying process, and there are several different aspects of a dying process. And, the reality of being on death row, it's kind of like a dying process. You run into guys on any given day who may be experiencing anger or denial or depression, or some are bargaining, and some are dealing with it with acceptance, and it's the same process. And I think most people, whether they're incarcerated or not, they have a legitimate desire and a longing inside to see things come out for the better. And people that are incarcerated don't feel any different. They're knowledgeable about the things that go on in the world. They've experienced it firsthand. I think there's a maturity and a wisdom that comes from listening to life lessons. And, we really became a society of waste. We've basically eliminated the influence that real life experience has. Restorative justice is an alternative to capital punishment in that respect because it's a kind of restitution where we're trying to give back to society some of the things that we've taken, and there's no reward, personal reward, other than the fact that no matter what may have brought him here, most every guy you talk to would say that he would like to have an opportunity to help some kids from making the same mistakes he's made. That's a reflection of that desire that I think is basically in every person.
I wanted to speak to you briefly about something that me and Dennis Gillicorn are doing. Okay. For the past, I don't know how long, we've been compiling an impressive amount of music. There's a band room here, and the equipment's outdated, but we tended to make pretty good music here. I've been a musician all my life. I sing and I write. I play a little piano, drums, trumpet. We don't have a trumpet, but we have beat machines and guitars, things of that nature. Right now I've got 50 songs on tape. Got about 10 or 15 of them are with me and Dennis. We're interested in whether or not you're... Oh, we're having a situation here. Can I call you back?
Yeah.
All right, good. I'll call you back as soon as they resolve it. It's a lockdown situation.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye.
Will all the witnesses please remain quiet to avoid any unnecessary movement? Medical personnel is available should it be needed. Have the witnesses for the condemned been confirmed? Have the witnesses for the media been confirmed? Have the witnesses for the state been confirmed? Are all the witnesses present and confirmed? At this time, with all witnesses present, we'll proceed with the court-ordered execution of John Eldon Smith. You have anything you'd like to add to your final statement?
My final statement was delivered by Father Wise as a prayer.
Well, you're prepared for that prayer at this time?
Yes, I am. Father Wise.
Inmate McCleskey, do you wish to make a last statement prior to your legal execution?
Yes, I would. First of all, I'd like to say to the Slack family, I'm deeply sorry and repentant for the suffering, hurt, and pain that you have endured over the years. I wish there was something that I could do or say that would give comfort to your lives and bring peace to it. I pray that you would find in your heart to forgive me for the participation in the crime that caused the loss of your loved one.
Roosevelt Solomon, do you wish to make a last statement prior to your scheduled execution?
Yes, sir. I wish to make the following statements prior to my death. First, to the family of Roger Tackett. I did not kill Roger Tackett. I send to you my remorse for the death of your loved one from the bottom of my heart. To the world, I suggest that people need to reach out more and help the needy and the homeless. To my family and children, I send you all my love, and I want you to know that I love you very much, and do not be bitter. Work hard, be honest in all life, and you will be successful in America. Van Roosevelt Solomon.
Also, I'd like to say to all my attorneys and those on the defense team, thank you for a job well done. Do not believe in your heart that you do not give your all and your best effort. I'm deeply grateful for all that you've done to try to save my life. I pray that you will continue on in your struggle to try to fight against the death penalty and the injustice in which we have incurred in recent days. I also pray that you will remain strong in faith and not allow what's about to occur to weaken your faith in God. Continue to fight, keep your hope alive, and know that this is not the end for me. This is only the beginning to our blessed hope of eternal life.
And I just want the people to know that I am not the same person that I was once upon a time, because I was baptized here in 1980, and the old creature was destroyed, and I became a new creature. And I would like to just ask that people remember me as the Christian, and that not as the old Jerome Bowden, because the old Jerome Bowden is no more. The new Jerome Bowden is here, and I'm not giving up. I might give out, but I cannot give up.
It has taken me some time, but I have learned that I'm a part of everyone, and everyone is a part of me, and that no matter where I go or how I go, everyone goes with me.
John C. Young, do you wish to make a statement prior to your scheduled execution?
I'd like to say that I know that I've been given some injustice. And you might tear my heart, but in reality, it's the heart of God you tear, because all of you are playing God with people's lives. And So we make mistakes, and that's only because we are human. But then we shouldn't try to judge those who make mistakes and play God in their lives and say whether they should live or die. But we're all people, and we're all from the same creation, and that is of the universal God. And that he did not say that we are better than each other, we're all humans, and that we must come to understand love and recognize each other as being human beings, caring people, and that we make mistakes. And if this is the way America will always be, then I go on my journey to be with God, and I leave this corrupt world.
Signed, Judge James B. O'Connor, Senior Judge. The execution process is not completed and will be reinitiated at this time.
This is Van Solomon again, and I like to say to America, how long will America limp between two opinions? How can you counsel someone and don't even keep your own counseling about killing people? Thank you.
Hello? Hello? Rob? Okay, hold on 1 second. I'm going to notify the officers I got through. Hey, Bernie. I got through. Okay, I'm ready. I'll just read what I got on. This modern-day concentration and deprivation camp was meticulously designed to deny its occupants their elementary rights, to produce centuries deprivation, and to suppress them from the opportunity of achieving rehabilitation, something which is essential for prisoners' moral purification, reformation, and development. This deprivation should not be surprising, considering the director of Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction has publicly said in no uncertain terms that the Ohio State Penitentiary was not built or designed with any rehabilitative purpose in mind, but for punitive reason. It is such typical attitude and stance by the prison-crats which inevitably reduce prisoners to uncaring, uncontrollable, and unsympathetic creatures who would ultimately return back into society to prey on others for their survival.
At approximately 8:15 on December the 15th, 1983, the court order execution of John Eldon Smith was carried out in accordance with the laws of the state of Georgia. Will the witnesses please be escorted back to the front of the institution?
Constantly changing, you're growing as you get older. And if you're even a little bit smart, you come to realize how little you really know. And you learn something every day. I've come out of the hospital sometimes, it smells and it's nasty and all that over there, The guys used to die over there alone. So we're in there with us in a cell with them, and it's hard. And you come out of there and then you walk out into the yard and you're walking back to the house again, and you smell the air and it's like, oh my God, I'm so glad to be alive. And there'll be a bird or something fly by, you're like, whoa. You're really humbled by all that. We've had a couple of guys get off of death row here, Joe Amrine and Clarence Dexter. They were on death row for quite a while. One of them was my Sully, and he's got liver cancer now. He's dying. He came back and visited me a couple times. He's actually an inmate here for 7 years. He was on death row and he got out and he was exonerated. Now he's dying. Now he's got cancer. And he was touring around. He was doing the same kind of thing, the message, getting the message out. He'd get up and we'd speak to the people, and they'd have small groups of people because you don't ever seem to get a big audience unless there's some kind of spectacle or something. Yeah, it was a good thing.
May the Lord bless your souls. See, I know I hurt you, and I know it was wrong. On my knees I pray, dear Lord, help the families be strong. Yesterday all was good, and your family was whole. An act of Christ fought it all, and the world seems so cold. Now your heart is broken, yeah, and no words will do. Look to the heavens, Lord.
This concludes Marlon Gray's music. Mom, Dad, I hope you enjoyed it because I did it with you in mind. It feels good to finally complete something, even though it's just a demo tape. I'm looking outside right now. Skies are blue, and all seems right with the world, but we know that's not the case. Because when I look down, I see the gates, and I see the perimeter and the limit to as far as I can go physically. But even so, thanks to the love and support you give me, I realize that there's no limit to how far I can go within myself. And this music is just the tip of the iceberg. I take credit for writing every lyric that you heard, every word, and most of the musical concepts, especially on the last one, as you can no doubt tell. I really miss being home. I miss so much. I can make a tape just on the things that I miss right now.